So in the last video, we updated the job template to make it more realistic. We added multiple different kind of stages there. Now what we will do, we will try to make our template more dynamic, and we will provide an option to choose the environments dynamically for every different pipeline. So we will give the control to the pipeline owner, or maybe we will give the control in the YAML file to select the environments at runtime. So whatever the environments application wants, he can select those environments. Let's see what I'm actually talking about. Okay, so if you remember this, we updated our code with this pipeline configuration, and if you see, we have three different stages here. So what is happening here? My every pipeline by default will have three deployment stages, but let's say my use case is different. I want one of my pipeline to get deployed on all these three environments. The other pipeline, let's say I want to get deployed on these two environments, dev and QA and prod. Let's say one more pipeline is there which I want to get deployed on dev and prod. Let's say one more is there which only wants to deploy in dev. So I want to make my code flexible like that, so that user can choose the environments by specifying some details here. So let's update this YAML first, and let's see how to do that step by step. So we will add more parameter here called env. It is a list kind of parameter, and by default, let's say it will have three different values: dev, QA and prod. So which essentially means whatever the number of parameters your job needs, you have to specify the list here like this, right? So let's say my job 1 needs all these three environments, right? Let's copy the same thing and update in job 2 as well. So my job 2, let's say, needs it don't require prod, or let's say it don't require dev environment, right? It only needs QA and prod. Let's create one more job. Let's say this is job 3. Name will be job 3. This will be, let's say, job 3, whatever it is. And let's say I only want this to be deployed on dev. I don't want it to be deployed on other environments. So let's say this is my use case, right? So I want this to be deployed on all three environments, this to be deployed on QA and prod, and this to be deployed on only dev, right? So let's see how to handle this particular thing in the Groovy code. What we have to do is, right now we have updated the template like this, which has all the three stages, but we have to make it aware whatever the stages are deployed in this YAML configuration only to include those many stages. So let's start from this utility itself. Let's create a function to get the stages defined in my YAML configuration. So similarly, I will just create one more function here, just copy paste this, and this time the output of this function will be an array list, because I'm defining a list of environments here, right? So the output will not be a list, will not be a string, it will be an array list, right? And get environments. Let's name it like this, and here I will have to just write .env. That's it. So whatever the name I will give here, I can just call the value using this. So job config.env will give me a list of environments which are defined in these YAML files. Yeah, that's it. Now let's see how to use this information in my main.groovy. So before even defining the YAML file, let's get the environment list here. We have created a variable like this, dev env list, and we have to get the same list from job config. So job config.getEnv, right? So yeah, this. So by calling this function, it will populate a variable env list with the list of environments which are defined in these YAML files. Now what I have to do, I will just check in every YAML file what are all the environments defined, right? So I will just write my code like this. So let's say if dev in env list, right? So let's write it like this, right? So I will check if my environments are present in my list. So I will just add a check like this, if dev in this, if, let's copy paste this, and then we will change, right? So if QA in this, if prod in this, right? So it will check if one by one for all the environments. So if dev environment is defined in my list, or if QA environment is defined in my list, and similarly prod is defined in my list. And let's say if environments are present, then what I'll do, I will define my configuration. So let's do this. Let's cut this complete thing, right? And define a variable with name, let's say dev underscore stage, right? And we will give the value for this thing as this. So what I did, I just removed the deployment block from here, and I created a separate variable for this thing here. And if the stage is defined, so let's say if this dev stage is defined, then only this variable will get populated, right? Right. Let's format it more so that it looks better. Yeah. So let's say only if dev is defined in my environment list, populate this variable, right? Let's say if dev is not defined, then what? So let's say if dev is not defined, then it will just do dev underscore stage equal to double quotes. So I don't want to define anything. I just want it to be an empty string. I will have to remove dev from here because I have already defined it here. So this way, yeah. So by default, every stage will be blank, and if the stage is present in the environment list, the snippet will get populated like this, right? Let me do the same thing for different environments as well. So let me cut QA and prod also. Similarly, name the variables like QA stage, I will just format it for better readability. Cool. Let me define QA stage here also. Let me do it for prod as well. Correct. So 3 empty variables, and then if the environments are present in the list, I will populate the values also. So let me cut this as well. Cool. And let's paste it here. Yeah, I've updated things now. So let me minimize the code and we'll show you then. So yeah, so by default every stage will be empty, and let's say if that particular environment is present in the environment list, then only the variable will get populated. And now in that template, what I'll have to do is I will just include these stages like this. So let's say my first stage is dev stage, right? Similarly for production and for QA also, I will just add these variables, QA stage, and this is for prod stage, right? Let's format it, right? So what will happen now? So let's say if you have not defined the stages, so this will get replaced by an empty string, right? This will get replaced by an empty string. And if you have defined the stages, then this particular thing will get replaced by the definition which is mentioned here, right? So this way you can choose your environments dynamically. Let's try to run it. Let's commit all my changes. Yeah, so new job got triggered here. Let's see the logs. Yeah, So you can see it has created one more job, and these are the jobs which were already there. Let's see what are the changes in these all. So let's run all of them. So I'll just run this as well, and this as well. So in my job one, I had all three stages, right? So that's why you can see deploy dev, deploy QA, and deploy prod. I got all the stages. In my job 2, I intentionally removed dev stage. So you can see this got built only for QA and prod. I cannot see my dev stage here. And similarly, this job 3, it only has dev environment, right? It doesn't have QA and prod. So you can see how we can generate our jobs dynamically using this groovy magic. Let's see what next.